People, we live in a day where relationships are hard. And depending on what you're going through with your relationship or lack thereof, this could definitely be an understatement. Or it might be that your situation is so different, so unique, that the Oprah show mixed with Phil Donahue and, all the talk shows, psychiatrists, it would take a long time to explain. I've been running into videos a lot lately on social media, and I think it's a good thing because they say it's best to have a talk as opposed to not to. So in this video, I want to talk about this male, female, adult, quality or lack thereof, relationship or lack thereof. I haven't had the most success at it personally. It was more of a learning thing for me because I was just never taught about relationships. I was never taught about how to develop a quality relationship. I was never taught how to nurture, what to look for, find myself first, and figure out what it is that I needed to work on before I blend or vibe with someone else. I just did what a human being normally does. I starve for attention. I starve for love. I starve for a companion. But not knowing, you might as well say I was just rolling the dice. And it's something about aging and getting older, especially when you're either with the wrong person or when you're alone. Those seem to be the moments that speak the loudest, give you more clarity, and you do more soul searching. It might even be a point where you have your first child, where you sit down and now you're having more mature, let's say adult conversations with yourself. Because now you have bills and more responsibility. And, in a perfect world, you'd have two loving parents, teach you, guide you, counsel you. A community that brings up someone who has similar backgrounds, that nuclear family, that church, that strong community, that wholesome environment where you can become, just become. You're not just here existing. You know what it means and you figure out, hey, before I even identify that I have these male characteristics or these female characteristics, I'm a human being. I feel, I think, I know. I have to go through these stages before I can really go and say I want to be involved in someone. But if you're not taught, if you don't have that example from the home or maybe an older brother, older sister, and then you're starting from ground zero. You're starting from the beginning. And I've had this conversation, not enough, but I've had this conversation. But I wish someone had it with me. And so I want to present two different views. And there are, I'm sure, hundreds of them out there. But tonight I was thinking, you know what? These two you saw, and might be different sides of the track, but they are from people. One is a professional who deals with this on a daily basis. And one is just an average person who has grown to have an opinion and say, hey, this is how things should be done. And I would like to have your opinion. If you can be candid and honest and say, hey, if I knew then what I know now, how would I have done A, B, C, X, Y, Z? Could you have gone about the relationship any differently? Could you have listened more? Could you have been more patient? Could you have used the right words? Could you not have jumped to conclusion? Could you have forgiven? Could you have been more direct, honest, open, thorough? Hey, it's part of growth. But let's get into it, and then we'll get back to this conversation.
Because this is the problem that I have. Stop hearing from your emotional ears and actually hear what's being said. I understand that the word choice was probably poor, but what he is saying is there are certain characteristics, certain behaviors that a woman may display. We just had a woman that was just talking about being alpha. Let me hit that first. Stop telling people that you alpha, because I don't think y'all understand what that personality actually really is and what it comes with. Alpha is not you just being strong. You're being resistant. You're not collaborative when it comes to conflict. You have low perspective taking. So when we have conversations like this, if we want to actually stop the damn gender war, and excuse me if I get passionate, we have to be able to hear both sides right now. If there is a woman, because I deal with couples all the time and I see this, and this is a big problem, and this is why men don't speak on it, because they can't be heard on this. If you have a woman who is in a male-dominated field and she has to use most of her masculine traits, sometimes it is hard to turn it off at home. Even if she's not in a relationship, even in her own home, sometimes it's hard to turn it off. I deal with lawyers, I deal with women who are in analytical spaces all the time.
What do you think? I've been through that. I literally was in a relationship that soured over time. And I didn't articulate it exactly this way. But what I expressed to her was that you hang around a lot of women who are strong. I've been to your job. I see how they act. I see how they react to me. And I see how they treat their men. And I told her, I'm not built like that. You can't respond or have this type of mentality with me, because you're not going to get the best out of me. I'm willing to work with you on it, but I need to point this out to you because you have this certain type of trait at work, but unfortunately it spills over when we're together. That's a problem. And unfortunately, the relationship soured. And she's a beautiful woman. And she's with another man now. But he's more dominant than she was. So it's like, some people might say, well, you weren't dominant enough where she felt that she needed to be submissive. I would go back to scripture and just say that if you understand your role, then no matter what position that you have at your job, when you come back home, when you are with your lover or your friend and you're dating, whatever the case may be, whether you're married or you're just dating, that dominant behavior from a woman, if a man's nature to me is natural to want to lead, to want to govern, he's built with an innate quality. If a woman is displaying that trait, it's going to be a problem, people. I mean, help me out here in the conversation. If you have experienced that before, I want to hear from both sides. As a woman, did you have a relationship with a man and you realized that you lost him because of that? Or you ran him away because of that? Or do you think he's just weak? And men, let me hear from you. Did you encounter a woman who was like that, or she became that in time. Whether it's she was at a job or she hung around certain women and it rubbed off on her and she tried that with you and you gave it some time and you just threw your hands up like, hey, I'm done with it. Or you might have gotten married and this materialized, because look, relationships do change. Now there's a baby involved. What did you do? Again, I've been seeing these videos. I said, you know what, and let me know if this is something that you guys want to deal with, because I can think about maybe having shows like this. We can just talk and I can have guests. You tell me what you want. And because I would love to have a discussion about this. The thing is not to rat on people or expose people. I want to heal, because there are a lot of beautiful people on the planet. A lot of beautiful people. And they're more beautiful now than they ever were. And they had the potentiality to be beautiful then, but they didn't realize that they had a resistant type personality and a very stubborn personality and a very strong trait, if you will, and it hurt. Now let's go into this other response here. Check it out.
That's the thing. A lot of the submissive women are dominant in their day-to-day lives. They are CEOs. They are, the head supervisor. They're the foreman. They're the plant managers. They got all the responsibility and stuff all day long. And then they come home and it's the same thing. And hitting that subspace and being submissive with their dominant is the escape and the getaway and what they crave. But in order to be a dominant, to a strong woman who is dominant in her daily life, is you have to be somebody worthy for her to submit to. And a lot of people they just think, oh.
Think about what he said. I'm going to play that last part again. This is key to the whole conversation.
And hitting that subspace and being submissive with their dominant is the escape and the getaway and what they crave. But in order to be a dominant, to a strong woman who is dominant in her daily life, is you have to be somebody worthy for her to submit to.
Worthy to be submissive to. I would like to pick his brain on that, because my mind goes to different variables here. I mean, does he have to be super strong and macho? Does he have to be financially secure? Does he need to be where he has a dominant personality and you better not cross him? Does he have to be where, okay, he's doing all his manly duties and he's doing things as a human being, he's being responsible, he's taking care of the kids, he's doing whatever comes up, you don't have to ask him, but yet he's not at the level that you decide he should be in terms of dominance. But you think it's a problem. But suppose he hitting everything else. Suppose he paid the bills on time. He taking the garbage out. All the cars are taken care of. Never had to worry about a car payment. Insurance is paid. Medical, dental. He work overtime when he need to. He taking care of the kids. He cook. He clean. He checking all the boxes. But in your mind, he's not strong enough. People, look, it's got to be talked about. Because, see, I've been through this too. And I try to talk about these things. And like I said from the beginning when I started the video, I'm glad that I start seeing these videos on social media as I'm doing other research. They pop up from time to time. I'm like, you know what, Pearson, you might want to start engaging in that. You see people, because, again, like I said from the beginning, at least people are talking. What I found out is that the women that I've been meeting, that as I try to speak on these various issues, because in time, as you date, you court, whatever you want it is, you say, you know what? Let me try to talk about all these different areas before we get too deep, or as we get too deep, or as we get deep, let's try to talk about whatever subject. What I find out is that the women that I've been finding out, they don't want to talk about it. I mean, they don't want to talk about credit. They don't want to talk about being prompt and responsible. And many of them say they're Christian, but I'm built a certain way to be responsible and prompt and look a certain way and act a certain way. And you would think that someone would appreciate the beautiful qualities because that is what attracted you to me. However, you're looking so much for me to be like one guy said, I remember watching this one guy video. He said, you want Tupac in a suit. Oh, I got to keep it real. I think that was, what's the brother I watch? Can't think of his name right now. I'll put in the description if I remember his name. The brother, he come on every day, do a lot of videos. Shout out to him. I can't think of his name right now, but he said women want Tupac in a suit. You want the responsible guy, but you want the thug, or you want the guy with the edge. Well, baby, everybody can't be that. Every man can't be that. And it don't mean like he won't be that in the bedroom. It's just that he got a certain persona, a certain aura about himself that, especially if he's saved, he not coming out thuggish. He not having swag with the extreme. He's moderate. He know when to turn it on and off. He got a little street smarts. But he God's man. And to flip it, guys don't put false expectations on women either, because that's God's woman. I've dated women for a period of time who say, you know what, I can't take you around my relatives no more because you don't fit no more. I'm like, what do you mean I don't fit? We need to change your wardrobe. What is that about? You used to compliment the way I dress and the way I carry myself and dot my I's and cross my T's. You like that. But as I met family and friends, they whispered in your ear, well, he's too nerdy. He's L7. He's an Urkel. So now you're listening to them. So now I'm in a relationship with them and you. And then in time it dissolves. Now I don't want to make this too long, but this is my introduction, because in the future, I want to know, do y'all want me to continue these type of videos? And then maybe I just buy a cheap phone or something and y'all can call in and we can express this. Because it is unfortunate that you get to a certain age and say, dang, man. See, one of the worst things that could ever happen is that you get older and you by yourself. And then you reminisce. Because you know what? Memories will haunt you, baby. Because you blew that moment. If you had just been quiet, a little bit patient, said the right word, didn't snap, whatever, listen. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think. I'll play this part again for this sister here. Very articulate what she said here. Check it out.
Because this is the problem that I have. Stop hearing from your emotional ears and actually hear what's being said. I understand that the word choice was probably poor, but what he is saying is there are certain characteristics, certain behaviors that a woman may display. We just had a woman that was just talking about being alpha. Let me hit that first. Stop telling people that you alpha, because I don't think y'all understand what that personality actually really is and what it comes with. Okay. Alpha is not you just being strong. You're being resistant. You're not collaborative when it comes to conflict. You have low perspective taking. So when we have conversations like this, if we want to actually stop the damn gender war, and excuse me if I get passionate, we have to be able to hear both sides right now. If there is a woman, because I deal with couples all the time and I see this, and this is a big problem, and this is why men don't speak on it, because they can't be heard on this. If you have a woman who is in a male-dominated field and she has to use most of her masculine traits, sometimes it is hard to turn it off at home, even if she's not.
It's deep. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. We got to have the Spirit of God to rule and reign in our soul. And we got to have practical thinking. Just because you Christian don't mean it's gonna work. You got to use your head, and you got to respect the differences. God made us different, yet we can jail. The question is, how do we do it? I'm Franchai Pearson. I pray you enjoyed it. God bless.